Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show. Hello, good evening and welcome back to the Mouse's Head. I'm Paul.
I'm Nick.
I'm the second Paul.
And I'm the third Paul.
Hey.
Holy cow!
Yes. You're outnumbered. And Craig's in a taxi on his way here.
You know, but I'm outnumbered every week.
That is true, actually.
Unless one of you's not there.
Yeah.
That
is true. So we need more Nicks and Craigs to come on the show.
Yeah.
Well, if you are Nick or a Craig or a Nick or a Craig and you want to come on the show, then you can visit our website, www.DisAfterDark segues, or email us at podcast@DisAfterDark.com.
You can. Straight into it.
Yeah, and we're on Twitter at DisAfterDark, Facebook.com/DisAfterDark, and MaceChat.com. No, maybe not.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. We haven't done that for a little while. Oh, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and anywhere else that Craig deems to put us. You know, when he turns up, picking his young ones up from the guides or something. Okay, so I'm conscious effort not to sigh at any point.
Won't last.
I bet I can't do it.
No.
I bet I can't.
You spent 3 years not now.
I know. I'll have to sigh in between the jittery because you sound like you've got like a cold.
No, that's Flynn.
Okay.
That's not me. That scares like I've got a cold.
Well, dear listener, as you heard, we have a third Paul in the bar with us tonight. Hang on, I haven't asked what anyone's drinking, have I?
No, I was waiting. I'm poised.
Open them up, gentlemen. Who's going first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Go on.
I've got Spooks Ale. It's a Halloween leftover, and it's 4.7%. Okay, that'll do nicely. Cheers. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yeah, ish. Just after.
Mm-hmm. Or Merry Christmas, depending on when the show goes up.
Yeah, we're even actually recording after Halloween, so it really makes no difference.
No. Trick or treat.
Yeah, Mr. Nick. Did you get in time? Or have you just gone quiet?
In my own time?
Yeah, in your own time.
Guess we haven't got to his time yet.
He hasn't got to his time yet.
No, it's not my time. I'll decide when it's my time. I can't help it. It's making my phone. My phone? I'm looking at my phone, assuming I should be paying attention to the podcast.
I just wonder how that awkward silence is going to go down.
Well, to be honest, probably about as well as most of my jokes. We are not recording on our usual night.
No.
Not that listeners know or actually care when we record the show. But yet it is indeed a school night, and for that reason alone, I'm drinking a Disaronno and Cherry Pepsi Max without the Disaronno. So,
an interesting cocktail of choice.
Yes.
Well, as it is a school night, but I am actually at my desk in my own country right now. Not obviously my own country.
Yes, I don't know if you were aware that the reason we had a slightly longer break between shows this summer around was because Paul's been taking over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have indeed. My little spectre. But I'll come to that.
Oh, we'll get on that later, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a bottle of Bulmer's crushed red berries and lime.
Oh, one of my wife's favourites.
I'm back on the cider. On the cider.
Good choice.
And third Paul.
Yeah.
Feel free to tell us.
Yeah, I'm training for the Disneyland Paris half marathon. So I'm staying away from the alcohol at the moment. But I've gone for something that I always tended to drink while I was in America. I've gone for a Mountain Dew.
Nice.
A wise choice, because I would need several of those, preferably the American ones, if I was to get anywhere near 13.5 miles.
Yeah, I did the Wine and Dine half marathon last year in Florida, so it's not a new thing, but I don't know why I've agreed to do another one.
On top of that as well, like, and no disrespect intended, but isn't that next September?
Yeah.
It's a long way to train.
Yeah, I know, but you have to run another, either a 10k or another 13.1 beforehand.
Just to prove that you can.
Yeah, well, you have to if you want to start further up the field, so you finish a bit earlier. You're not running for as long.
All right.
You have to give them a time, which they can basically judge where you're going to finish. So you kind of have to start early.
Sorry, Paula Radcliffe's just joined us. as this is running after dark.
It's good to hear that he puts the lid up.
Yeah.
No, that was the kettle. I'm just filling the kettle. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, but with what? That's the question. Jesus.
So do you actually?
Well, at least he's got a boiler before he drinks it. That's good.
Does it have to be one of a registered race?
Yeah, you have to. It has to be a chipped race, so they can actually look up your time either on a website or you can actually prove that you ran this race.
Holy crap bags.
So last year, before I did the Wine and Dine, I did a local 10k that was chipped. So that got me. I ended up about halfway up the field. So I don't want to be right at the back this time after doing that.
And is that's the same for every Disney run? Is it that they do this?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Is this for the marathon in Paris?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
You need a doctor's medical certificate and everything, don't you?
Yeah, finger up the arse.
Yeah, that's only the Paris one because that's French law apparently. So.
Oh. The closest that Craig's been to a marathon, by the way, dear listener, is a Snickers.
Yeah.
Oh, don't. I'll be back.
Thank you, 1980s, for that reference.
That joke, yeah.
Remember Spangles?
Yep.
Yeah, Fruit Spangles.
I wonder if Disney are ever going to get into the adventure racing, not just the road racing as well. So if there's only going to be some sort of Disney Tough Mudder.
That'd be good.
Well, it's a new fad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I say fad, that might sound a little bit degrading, but
yeah.
I mean, everyone's got to do something extreme, like electrified water. You've got to run for it. Yeah. Jesus, if I wanted to do that, I just let the kids play with toys in the bath. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A bit much.
This one's an extreme race that involves free diving. Yeah.
Into concrete. Yeah. And
you've got forms of diving are available.
You've got to walk across a swimming pool filled with Lego and plugs.
Just with Disney, it's just walking downstairs with Lego on them.
True. So, Paul isn't just called Paul in the same way that none of us is just called just our first names. So, Paul the Third, I suppose. Do you want to tell the listeners, other than the fact that you're running a marathon or half marathon, a bit more about yourself?
Yeah.
So you can say hello to everyone.
Yeah.
Hello to everyone.
That wasn't Paul.
Yeah, he's changed.
My name's Paul Washington. I've done a bit of Disney blogging over the last few years. Not a huge amount. It's just kind of trip reports and things like that. Bit of Disney history, but with my wife.
Paul 3 nails it.
But and kind of I've been going to like US theme parks. I wasn't particularly young. I never went with them when I was a youngster, but I started maybe 10 years ago. I went to Universal Studios in Hollywood, was my first introduction to theme parks, and ever since then I've kind of been in love with them.
Wow, okay, that's an interesting first theme park.
Yeah, it was never meant to be. I was kind of going for something else to Los Angeles that ended up being cancelled, but we couldn't change the flights. So we ended up going to Universal Studios, and I came home with an annual pass.
As you do.
Yeah. Well, they used to do it basically. You'd pay like $15 to upgrade your day ticket to an annual pass.
Oh, how
can't get that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been an annual pass holder at Universal Studios Hollywood a couple of times because I ended up going back for my honeymoon. and we ended up again upgrading while we were there because we decided we were going to go back the year after as well. So,
Okay.
That's for sure.
What sort of time is this? How long ago?
I've been married for 5 years, so we last upgraded our tickets 5 years ago. But I think it was a bit more expensive. I think possibly we paid about $50.
Wow.
Last time.
Be a bit more now this year, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, they're not even selling annual passes this year.
It's a kidney.
Yeah, a child.
Yeah. It's degenerated. So, okay, I haven't got your questions on. And what the reason we got you on here is we saw some kind of upset, some concerns you expressed on Facebook, or was it Twitter? One of these social media platforms, the newfangled
it was possibly
things.
both. Just some little niggles.
Yeah, you expressed a few concerns about Disneyland Paris, and we've all been there and done that at some point.
Is this just an hour-long show, or is it going to be over 3 parts?
I may have to edit down some highlights.
So is this a soap dish, is it? But Paul's taking the place of now mild-mannered Nicholas.
Well, let's see. When did you have your trip?
It was about 3 weeks ago. Just before the UK half term started.
So at the end, by the time we're recording this, that's at the end of the summer season.
Yeah.
But before the half term break, so it should technically be a little bit quieter.
Yeah, it was a little bit quieter than you'd expect during the holiday season.
Okay, how did you get there?
We got the Eurostar. We didn't go direct. They were just a little bit too expensive. We missed out on the cheaper trains. So we ended up going through Lille, which wasn't a problem. We found it quite easy. It's just kind of a hop up an elevator and down the other side again.
How many of you traveling?
You're on the platform. There was 3 of us. There was me, my wife, and my 2.5-year-old son.
Cool.
My son.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, mix it up a bit. Yeah. Okay, so train down, change at Lille.
Yeah. We decided we weren't going to pay for the Disney Express on the way in. We didn't feel it was worth it. We thought we'd just head straight back to the hotel and have a bit of a break. I ended up going back to the park that night by myself. My wife and my son stayed behind. After a long day, we'd been up because we travelled.
Where were you staying?
We stayed at the Cheyenne.
Okay.
Which I know is getting a revamp beginning of next year, and you can tell it does kind of need it now.
That's the cowboy one, isn't it?
Yeah, which I believe is now getting a bigger Toy Story theme.
Oh, really?
Next year, yeah. Kind of similar
really.
to the Santa Fe got Cars revamp a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think they're going the same way with the Cheyenne. That it's going to be Woody and Jessie themed.
Welcome to Pixar Land Resort France.
Well, that would make sense because that is the focus on Toy Story 4, isn't it? No, right, it's Bo Peep, isn't it?
Bo Peep, yeah.
We are Cowboys. Who cares?
Yeah, I think because originally the New York was meant to be being done up next year, and they've changed their minds and they're doing the Cheyenne now.
It did look a bit run down when I was there a couple of years ago, I'll be fair. Yeah. The rooms were nice, but the outside was a bit grotty.
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing that, are they going to retheme the New York as well and add kind of an overlay to that one? Because the only people I've really seen in a Disney franchise in New York at the moment appear to be the Avengers.
Yeah.
So unless they're going to wreck half of it.
Oh, I've not heard. The revamp of the New York hotel is going to be based around the 1988 classic Oliver and Company.
All right.
Said no one Ever.
Yeah. Just dog turds everywhere. Billy Joel playing.
You You could pretty much describe it as a whole dog turn anyway. Not so much the hotel.
Well, so how many days do you have down there?
We were there for 4 nights, so 5 days in the park, mainly. As I said, it was just a few hours in the evening on the first day. Midweek, so we didn't do a weekend, so we strayed away from that as well. So we missed weekend rush as well.
Okay.
What got you so angry then? What happened?
It was just bits and pieces. It's not so much. The parks are lovely. Yeah, they've still got some work to do. We know that, especially in the studios. It's still lacking a little bit. But the parks themselves, they still feel like they're Disney. It's not so much that. It's kind of the people that work there are my main bugbear. And yeah, some of them are just as nice as you find in the States, but then some of them are so completely the opposite way to what you'd expect from a Disney employee.
Yeah.
And where did you find the worst examples of that, would you say?
The main one that I had a big problem with. One night I went off again by myself. I went to have a look around some of the other hotels. So I was visiting the New York. My wife had come out with me with my son because he wouldn't go to sleep. So we kind of tried to walk him around and get him to sleep. I went off saying, I'm just going to go around and have a look at these other hotels. And my wife went back to the room and couldn't get in. And it wasn't like, because you have key cards to get in your room. Yeah. And as most people will know, it goes green if it's going to unlock. It'll go red if there's a problem. But it wasn't even given a light of any kind. And it kind of felt like there was something wedged in the door in the slot for the key. And you just kind of get past it, and that was it. But it just wouldn't do anything. So my wife went back to the reception and said, this is the problem. They checked the keys and said, there's no problems with the keys, but we'll issue some more ones. And it was kind of like, she was fine with that. It said, there's a telephone apparently in each block that you can ring reception if there's an issue.
Okay.
So she got back to the room and still couldn't get in. So she rang them, and they said, we'll come down. She waited half an hour with my son in his stroller trying to go to sleep. And they came down and said, there's something, you've just got to get it right to get the key in the door, and then it'll unlock. And they did it, and it opened first time, no problems. But it's kind of like, well, there's obviously something wrong with the door, but you're not doing anything with it. And the whole time we were there, it was still the same. You still struggled to get this key in and get it to work. And it was just like little niggly things. It's not even a big thing. It was just the way it was kind of dealt with, and just kind of pushed to one side. And again, I've written an email to them regarding this, and I've not even had a reply. And it's just like, it's 2 weeks now since I sent this email and nothing.
Have you done a report on the Trip Report or anything, TripAdvisor, whatever?
No, my wife's a member on TripAdvisor, so I'm sure she'll be putting something on there in the next few weeks.
Because I posted a goods review on Cabana Bay when I was there the other weekend, and within a day the management team had replied to it.
Actually, that's the same with me. I did similar when I stayed at the Hotel Elise at Val d'Europe, which is where we normally would stay for a Disneyland Paris trip. And like Craig said, I wrote a positive review on there, and within a few days or so, I got a message back thanking me for it. But to be fair, they were also, if anyone was critical, they would also apply to them as well. So
that's,
I think TripAdvisor,
social media,
yeah,
because it's in the public domain and everyone can see it. They'll be straight on it.
The thing is, Paul, you're right in that you've done what you should have done in the right way.
Definitely, yeah.
But I think the problem is, as Craig said, is that we are, all of these big companies now, and even smaller ones as well, are so reliant on what the public perception is on social media. All the time, I'll say this to anybody when you've got any kind of issue, is if you go and complain, you phone up a company, you email a company, you whoever, I find the response is quite lacking, or could be like you found, ignored, not dealt with at all promptly.
Yeah.
As soon as you post that thing publicly, you'll get a response. And it's stupid, it shouldn't be that way. but
Yeah.
I've had to do it so often recently, and it definitely seems to be the way forward.
Yeah. And the other big thing, and this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. We were coming out of a park one day, and there was some teenagers in front of us, who I think had started giving the guy on the gate some lip. First time I've ever seen it. The cast member actually swore at them.
Wow.
I didn't hear it. My wife said, but there was an F word included in there. And as I said, we were with my son, who's 2.5, and it's not the sort of thing you expect from a Disney cast member.
No. I don't think the age there is the key thing. I think the fact that they're a cast member.
Yeah.
There are certain standards. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like any human being, you don't deserve to be treated in a negative way. But when you're facing the public in any kind of role, you have to do things in a certain way. And when you're doing something like that in a park, and a Disney park at that, even more so, you've got to be careful how you behave. And they were lucky, really, that no one else really picked up on that, I think.
Yeah.
Was it a proper cast member, Paul, or was it one of those security guys at the metal detectors?
No, it was one of the proper ones. It was actually on the gates as you're coming out of the park, rather than as you get to the Disney Village where the security guys are. It was actually someone that kind of ticked you off as you were leaving the park.
Literally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Where did you go?
So,
But yeah,
how many times had you been before to
this
Disneyland
was
Paris?
our third time to Disneyland Paris.
Okay.
So it wasn't the first time. It just seems, and in other ways, it seems like that now the Disney company have got more of a hold on the park. Some things seem to have picked up, but then other things seem to have gone. Well, yeah, some of it seems to have taken a step back. Like the training's a little bit lacking at the moment, I think, and which isn't. But then we had other cast members that were great. Don't get me wrong. There was one morning I went to the extra Mickey hours in the morning, and was waiting to get into Frontierland to go on Big Thunder Mountain, and the staff members that were kind of holding you back before you went in were great. But it just seems some of them haven't quite got to grips with the fact that they're working for Disney.
No, I think. I mean, and this is. I mean, we obviously touched on this a few weeks ago when Craig came back from Orlando, and I think the problem is that you get people that will work for Disney because it's working for Disney, and obviously you get people that treat it like a job. But on the flip side of that as well is, and it's been well documented in France, the problems they've had there with the employment and strikes, which you'd never have in an American park, for example, with the staff. But the fact that the wages do seem to be quite lacking. And I think that the general contempt that a lot of workers there feel that they're not being paid what they should do. And, unfortunately, a theme park costs a lot of money to run. A hell of a lot of money. And, unfortunately, being paid a generous sum is just one of those things that you can't have your cake and eat it. And so I think for most people, if you're going to go and work in a Disney theme park at that kind of level, you have to accept that you're probably not going to be earning good money, but you will try and get the most out of your work. And I think we're getting more and more people now where it is just a job. And if that job is not paying the money, they're going to be miserable.
Yeah,
and
it's not the. I work for Disney, and I make people's day, and I give them that degree of magic, which, to a lot of people should be as much job satisfaction as anything.
Yeah, and I mean absolutely, and I think the problem is it's a global problem because everything's getting more expensive. Mm-hmm. I'm moving house at the moment. That's bloody expensive. Nothing ever seems to come down.
Yeah,
tell me about it.
One of my bugbears that I kind of noticed over the last weekend, we had a few days out there at the end of half term with the girls. It's I'm not going to bang on about smoking again because it's France, that's culture. They don't have smoking areas and no smoking areas. It's open air, they smoke. Put up with it. My issue is with the fact that they'll post rules, but no one will enforce them.
Yeah.
The big signs at the front which say no selfie sticks. The big signs at the front which say selfie sticks will be taken off you and confiscated or put in your bag and told not to use them. And then they're wandering around in front of, people are wandering around in front of cast members with selfie sticks.
Oh, so it's still a big thing, is it?
Well, the signs are still up saying you can't use it.
No, but I mean the amount of people.
Yeah, and apparently there are still a lot of people using narcissistics as it is.
Hey, we seen it at the bag check in Orlando at Magic Kingdom. Them physically taking them off people and issuing them with little receipt saying you can come and get it tonight at guest services.
Great,
that's good.
And I've seen it across the board. There was a queue of people waiting to hand them in.
Yeah,
great. If only that was acted upon, but they've kind of got a couple of airport scanners and some newfangled almost microwave scanner which does lots in bulk. I don't know how it works. It just looks like they put it into some sort of magic blockbuster pot.
Did the security have guns in Paris when I was there?
The security as private security don't, but you do tend to have the French police or the French army and gendarmerie wandering around fully armed, and they've got some nice weaponry.
Now maybe they could theme them a little bit like the soldiers out of Toy Story, and then they wouldn't be so offensive.
Yeah,
I've got to be honest.
It's just trying to chase down the terrorists with those big flat things on your feet.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
It's that bugger.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Craig, and I like it. At the same time, I'm guessing they're supposed to look intimidating. I could be wrong.
But you go to Orlando, though. You go to Florida, and the security guards are 72 years old, and his name is Chuck from Minneapolis.
I thought your name was Chuck.
My name is now Chuck. Please do not refer to me as Craig anymore. Yeah. You go to Paris. You go through airport security. You have to leave a stool sample, and then you might get shot.
No, you didn't have to do that, Craig. You just did it anyway.
Yeah, that wasn't. That sign there was actually for ice cream. You totally misread that sign, and I'm sorry, Chuck. No one's going to offend you.
We're currently pricing up for February next year, and if you go direct with Disneyland Paris and stay in one of the off-site hotels that are supported, it's coming in at £1,200 for the.
Doing it wrong, Craig. You're doing it wrong. How many more times?
But you go through
times.
You go through Booking.com. You go through Booking.com and you go through a third-party ticket company, and the same trip is £600.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, how's that allowed to be?
Well,
that's all profit.
Now, how many nights was that? Was you going for?
It was 4 nights, 5 days, the same as Paul.
Yeah.
So now, Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Now, I'm at the moment debating. We've got a trip planned at the end of January, the 31st of January. You can come rob me then, that's fine. And the 31st of the 4th or thereabouts. And we're struggling at the moment to get Eurostar for the 31st, and I've got to see if I can book in a day late potentially. But that trip, and that was staying on Disney property with my Disney tickets for 2 adults and 2 under 3s, so we didn't have to pay there for them a little bit, I suppose. Came in at $250. And that was booked through Expedia.
I have no idea how much we paid for this one, but we didn't do the one of my wife's travel agent discounts for this one. We stayed in a small caravan, in a static caravan, in a site about half an hour away. And
was it the caravan of love?
Absolutely no love going on in that caravan. It was too bloody cold.
That should have made more love. Bit of snuggling.
Exactly. That's not completely wrong.
In that cold weather, you know what happens in cold weather.
Doesn't affect me. it can't affect me any more than it does already. So yeah, I mean, it is ludicrous. I mean, I don't know why, and I don't know. Well, I think Disney expects that people are just going to not think about trying to book elsewhere. I think that's the only thing they rely on, or people that just do not care. Like, they've got so much money, they don't care how much it costs. You know, the people that will always stay at Disneyland Hotel, for example.
We booked the same trip a couple of years ago, and we got it for £600.
Yeah, direct
with Disney. Yeah,
we booked 2000, just after we got married, 2009, and we booked direct, and including Eurostar for I think it was 4 nights or it might have been 3 nights, but either way, and that was about £500, including our tickets and our travel. So, you know, that was booked direct for Disney. So it's weird how it can fluctuate so much. I really don't understand their pricing policies at all. I know they do like discounts throughout the year and flash sales and all this kind of stuff, but to be honest, I don't find they're that much cheaper when they have these sales on it anyway.
Yeah, children under 7 go free.
Yeah.
If they've got one leg.
Yeah. Children under 7 can't go on any rides.
Yeah.
Or eat.
Get in Cuban Hills and go on Tower Terror.
So Paul, where did you eat on your trip?
The first night and the last night, in fact, before we got back on the train, was a cheap one. We went to McDonald's. The first full morning, which is another story. We because the clocks had changed, or were due to change here. We made a mess of getting up on time. We thought all our iPads and everything were going to change. My wife changed her phone, so that was right. I then woke up. My son had been awake in the night because he hadn't settled. And I woke up and looked at my iPad, and we had about half an hour to get to our meal at Cafe Mickey's. What we then realised halfway through the day was actually we were an hour behind. So we were actually half an hour late. But yeah, we ate in Cafe Mickey's the first morning, which was fairly good. All the characters came round. Fairly good spread on the buffet. The second day we ate our main meal at Annette's. We just walked up. That was no issue. We got in straight away, no problems. Was really nice. The third day we had a bit of and I don't know why we did it. We hadn't planned on going to any of like the expensive places, but we thought we'd have a warm up in the Disneyland Hotel. And we went and sat up by the bar and Inventions, and the menu was out the front, and we decided all of a sudden that we'd go. We were going to go the next day, but they said they could take us right then and there. So we went in and had a meal at Inventions. Not the cheapest. It was nearly £100 for the two of us. Because my son's only 2.5, we didn't have to pay for him. He could eat off our plate. So it ended up, I think it worked out at £93 for the two of us.
That was pounds, not euros.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how much it was exactly in euros, but yeah, it came to £93 when I checked my credit card statement when I got home. So it's not.
This is why you need an annual pass or a shareholders card.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, but because it was just coming up to the end of their lunch period, and we ended up being the last family in the restaurant. When we first got in there was one other family. We went in the main room. They put us on the side room just as you walked in, and there was one other family in there, and they left after about 15 minutes. And we ended up being left with all the characters basically coming down and seeing us because there was no one else in the restaurant. So Mickey and Minnie spent a good 10-15 minutes with us at the end of the meal. At one stage, the two, because they have kind of like their base regular characters, and then they kind of had 2 rarer characters as well. While we were in there, we had Geppetto and Rafiki were in there.
Okay. Yeah, because they go together.
Yeah, it was a bit random. You had your normal characters like Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, and I think Eel was in there as well, with no other Winnie the Pooh characters, just him. And then, as I said, Rafiki and Geppetto. And at one stage, Geppetto was running around with a bunch of bananas, with Rafiki chasing him, which was kind of interesting.
That would make a really good movie.
Yeah. But it was worth it. My son loved it. He didn't eat a lot because of the characters being around him, but other than that, he really enjoyed it. There's lots of photos taken with Mickey and Minnie. As I said, they spent 15 minutes with us. So,
and what was the food like? Because I mean, obviously, besides it being expensive, but I mean, I know it's always had, and I've never eaten there actually, and we're debating it next time we go, but. I've always heard good things about the food there. Yeah,
the food was lovely. There was a wide range. There was like lamb chops still on the bone and things like that, and a lot of fish and things like that, and like freshly made desserts, not like just a fruit salad and some yogurts and maybe some pastries, but there was fresh made cakes and things like that. I tended to lean on the Black Forest Gâteau that I had, which was quite nice. But yeah, no, even though it's expensive, it is definitely worth it, especially if you have got young children that like meeting the characters.
That's good.
Okay.
And what about the rides and the attractions, Paul? Was everything open?
And more or less everything was open. There was I'm just trying to think what wasn't open. All the main rides were open. Rock and Roller Coaster was open. I know Big Thunder Mountain's now being closed for a year for its refurb, but that was still open, which was quite lucky. I think it closed at the back end of last week. So we just managed to scrape in and get on it. It was some of the smaller. It's a Small World was closed, which I think it still is at the moment, because that's going in for a major overhaul at the moment. But I think saw some pictures today that they're kind of starting to clear the tarpaulin off it, and you can actually see the facade again.
Yeah, it was still all up this weekend, so.
Yeah, I think they've started to take it down over the last couple of days. But that was about the only main ride that was closed for us. So we were quite lucky.
Yeah.
Managed to get on Ratatouille for the first time.
Did it break down on you, or?
No, it was fine. We that was the day that we messed all the times up. So we planned to get into Hollywood, into the studios and get a fast pass, and we got there, and there was still some left. So we ended up doing that in the afternoon. But that day we didn't see any breakdowns of any kind. So
now, Mr. Boniface,
Yeah.
had you been on Ratatouille before?
We went on it back in August.
Okay.
And we went on it again this time, so yes.
Fair enough. Can I have both of your opinions, please? I don't care which order.
You can go first, Paul.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's the great be all and end all ride. It's
What
kind
would
of,
you grade it? Is it E-ticket, D-ticket, C-ticket?
I'd probably put it as a D ticket. But
Okay.
the actual usage of the technology is great. Don't get me wrong. It's just kind of, with the introduction of 3D, it feels like you're moving from like sets, and then you kind of stop and watch these videos in 3D, and then you move on again. And there's no real pace to the ride either. It's kind of, and it's not very long either. So I think that's possibly why they've slowed it down. The fact that you're meant to feel like you're going in and out of different things, it kind of doesn't feel like there's any urgency to it, in the sense that it's meant to make you feel like you're racing through this kitchen. It doesn't really feel like that to me.
When you say it's not long, how long is it? I mean, Snow White's Mine Train's about 2.5 minutes long.
Possibly about the same.
Right.
That's
not very...
Yeah. It's great. I think the technology is very good. Having, again, the gloating comes in for a bit. Having actually done Mystic Manor in Hong Kong, which has some projection screens, some physical models, and animatronics, and some winds blowing and things like that, which is an absolutely brilliant ride. I was very, very excited, hoping that they would follow in that. I tend to agree with t'other Paul that it does seem to rely heavily on, oh, right, now you're on this, put the glasses on as well. It's, okay, I'm on a ride that moves anyway. Why has it got to all be 3D? I don't feel the need to put the glasses on at the same time as the ride. It doesn't seem particularly urgent. It is very suitable for kids, but we were waiting for the parade and we were talking to another couple. If you are listening to this, seeing as I gave you a hint that you should do, hello.
The double R listenership.
Yeah. But they allegedly got stuck on it for 2 hours.
Oh, no.
They were on it and it broke down. And they were sitting on it for 2 hours.
No,
now, what strikes me as difficult about that is it's not like they're on water or anything. After 15 minutes, why can't someone just escort them off?
I was escorted out of Ratatouille within under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was only because, and in the end, we was only escorted out because they were trying to get the ride back together.
Mm.
And in the end, they realised that, so it didn't do like a full reset or anything like that first.
Yeah.
So they were just trying to get the ride moving again. When it became apparent that it was going to need to do a reset, that's when we got taken off the cars and walked through.
Okay. I'd like to find out the actual truth behind what happened. But yes, allegedly they were stuck. They were sitting on it for 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours sounds very excessive.
Yeah.
Not to kill our new and now just left listeners as liars, but yeah, it sounds. I mean, you wouldn't even be stuck on that on a small world for that.
On a ride with all the lights on, it's very easy to for 2 hours to appear to only have been 10 minutes.
Unless they fell asleep.
Yeah, possibly, and they didn't want to wake up.
Yeah, well, you know, I would.
This might be our first email, guys. We might get an email off this.
Yeah. So if anyone was there for 2 hours,
let us know. I think. I mean, I'm a big 3D fan and everything like that. But to be honest, I've got to say I don't really feel the 3D is necessary.
No.
So much.
It's bordering on the let's put another simulator ride in rather than an actual ride. Even if it is a ride. If you get my drift.
Yeah, I mean, when I first spoke about it, I said, if you've ever been to, Florida, you'd have done things like Transformers or, of course, Spider-Man, which do these things extremely well. And even if you want to look at something like Harry Potter, like that, if you think about it, the technology is different in that, you're obviously on a car that's driving around the floor rather than a big robotic arm. But you go from scene to scene, you've got a big giant IMAX dome screen in front of you, and you've also got real props. So the only real difference between that and Ratatouille is the 3D element. And to be honest, I don't, Harry Potter feels good enough in 2D.
Yeah.
I think the 3D's just been tacked on because that was the thing at the time. The 3D was just kind of having a bit of a resurgence, but I don't feel it is necessary. And I think it's, in some ways, it's a shame. Yeah.
Especially seeing as the 3D, if you already wear glasses, then you can't always put those 3D glasses over your glasses.
But they're not particularly friendly ones, are they, in comparison to a lot of them?
I always tend to have one eye that's slightly less 3D than the other, so they always just give me a headache anyway.
Yeah, well, they go and see Star Wars like that.
I don't intend to. I didn't want to go and see Spectre like it. Luckily enough, Spectre wasn't in 3D.
No, and I suppose, because this is a Disney podcast,
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Why are we not talking about Spectre?
It's not Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Has everyone seen it? I haven't seen it.
I've seen
Not
it.
yet.
Go and see it.
I haven't seen the last one.
Well, Dr. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch
what
that.
was it? Goldeneye? No.
Yeah.
Jap's Eye.
Yeah, let's just say that.
Jap's Eye.
Jap's Eye. That was Shirley Bassey singing the theme tune, of course.
Shirley Bassey.
As long as she took longer than 20 minutes to write it.
Have you ever played that game where you just do a Shirley Bassey impression, but using the title of absolutely any James Bond film, and if you sing it in that style, it sounds like it would work as a song?
Give us an example.
No.
Moonraker. So you could see that is the chorus of a Shirley Bassey song.
Although
right
I do think that was more Tina Turner.
Okay.
A bit more Tom Jones, I thought.
I think that's why he's being DNA tested. But I enjoyed Spectre, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has everyone got their Star Wars tickets?
Yeah.
Right, this is a big bone of contention.
In IMAX.
It almost led to DEVORCE. Because...
What? Bad spelling?
Yeah. I'm from Essex. Is it spelled differently elsewhere?
I don't know. I thought you said DE, but I have got dodgy headphones on.
No, I probably did. But that's how we spell it in Essex. Because we're dyslexic. Dyslexic in Essex. I managed to get tickets to see it in IMAX Laser 3D.
Okay.
Ooh.
At Leicester Square. It's the only IMAX in the UK that does it like that. I saw the Star Wars, the first and at the time only time they've shown the entire Star Wars saga in one sitting because it was the premiere of Episode 3.
Yep.
So I was determined to go back to the same cinema, the Empire Leicester Square. And I managed to get really good seats on opening day for it in the afternoon, only to be told when I got home that Mrs. Branch is unable to get the time off to go because she has... Yeah, and she already has people booked in.
Oh, okay.
Because they do book up really far in advance. And apparently me turning around and saying, "We'll just move them," didn't go down very well. To top it off, 2 days after this, when I'm still trying to convince her that, this is Star Wars, don't worry about your clients, we'll find new clients or whatever, I got a letter informing me that I'm doing jury service that week.
Oh, you're a jammy guest.
Now... I mean, can you imagine, just a double whammy of the world telling you not to go and see Star Wars in laser IMAX 3D? So I'm very down at the moment.
I'm thinking of the poor bugger that you're actually doing jury service for. Guilty. Can I go now?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll give you
whoever it is, or she is guilty. Yeah.
I'll give you the tenner for them tickets. I'll take them off your hands.
Oh, thank you very much. They only cost me like 40 quid, but thanks.
I'm in the gallery in the Odeon in 2D on a Saturday night.
Craig has never been to London to the cinema.
I had to get nostalgic by going in Paris by going and doing Star Tours again. It's always good to watch stuff on a really dodgy print of an old film.
I did the same.
Isn't it in French as well, if I remember rightly?
Well, some of it is in... Well... Yeah. C-3PO is in French.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Bon voyage. No, I love it. I love the fact that he's still camp in France. I think is brilliant because when you see when you watch a film that's dubbed in another country, so you're in a hotel in Spain or something, you're watching a film and Al Pacino's dubbed. Normally, the characters are quite similar to their Hollywood counterparts. Or in most cases, even more macho.
Have you ever tried to watch a Jason Statham movie dubbed?
No.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh. I love Jason Statham anyway, as you can hear by that noise.
He's just very short.
But he is. But yeah, the fact that they decided, you know what, we like Camp C-3PO. We're going to keep him that way. Well done, the French. They've done something right.
So some dub casting agent had to hunt around for the slightly camp Frenchman. That must have been a long journey, that one.
That must have been hard to find.
They did a live television star search type competition to find that person because they knew it's going to be a hard task.
12.7 million people applied.
But, going back around in a circle, Spectre was good. And I'm sorry it's not a Disney film, but I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Double
I
07
like
out of
it a
10.
lot.
Maybe I'll have to start some sort of James Bond podcast, but I think there's a few of those about. Not as many Disney as there are Disney podcasts, but
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll get our network up and running and we can see whatever content we want on there.
yeah, just do it. Does anyone know what letter we're meant to be on?
I haven't got a clue.
Oh, Jesus.
God, freaking Nora. Hold on.
I should have taken notes.
This is going to be blind then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Craig, you go and have a look it up.
Hello.
As we wait for that to fill in a bit of time.
Let me get
Mr.
Google
Washington.
up.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to help you.
I've completely because I've never put it in any of them.
Mr. Washington, bear in mind, I mean, it was your third trip when this, when you had this one and it wasn't the best, and obviously the things that happened to you weren't particularly good. Do you think if that had been your first time, you wouldn't go back?
I don't know. It depends. Having been to the US parks as well, I think I'd still probably continue going to the Paris one, even with those errors. Maybe if I hadn't been to the other parks, I think it doesn't overly bother me that much. It wouldn't put me off. Even though there is obviously a difference in service between the US parks and the Paris one, I don't think I'd still go. And I am still going, as I've said, I'm doing the Disneyland Paris half marathon, so it hasn't really put me off, and I'll still be going back. I probably won't be a family trip next year. I think I'm going to end up going by myself, but following year for the anniversary, I'm sure we'll be back.
Yeah, and also I think the thing with next year, by the way, Craig, stop looking, it's K, if you haven't found out. But yeah, I mean, originally we weren't going to go next year, mainly because of all the stuff getting prepped for the 25th anniversary. I knew there were going to be quite a few downtimes for a lot of the attractions, and they certainly haven't disappointed. I think after February of next year, there's quite a lot of stuff that's out of commission.
That's it. I've just listened to the latest dedicated to DLP podcast, which takes the award for the worst audio ever in any podcast in the history of podcasting. It beats
You've heard
us.
some of ours, haven't you? Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's horrific.
Must be bad.
One of the plugs fell out. It was quite funny. They go on like that for another hour. Brilliant.
I saw someone with one of their badges on in the park.
Badges?
Yeah, we've never done that.
We don't need no stinking badges.
We need to get a badge, yeah. And they've basically put out next year as the year to avoid. Do not go anywhere near Disneyland Paris next year.
Yeah, agreed. As I said, after Star Tours, is it closing March now or February?
Don't know.
They've announced the date, and it was supposed to be like the beginning of February, but I think it might have been moved back a few weeks. But that's closing. Obviously, as Paul said, Big Thunder Mountain's out of action. Small World will be back open. Peter Pan is going to be down until June of next year, I think. Animagique is closing in February of next year. The Backlot Tour is closing.
Just forever?
Well, apparently forever, but they still haven't really announced what's going to be replacing that yet. The Backlot Tour is going down for refurbishment. That is a refurbishment as well. That isn't changing too much. That's just off the top of my head. I think Phantom Man is going down for a little bit as well.
Typical.
Pirates is going down at some point as well.
Again? Oh, yeah, because they're doing the swap overs, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What a year to have my annual pass.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Well planned.
But to be honest, that is good, because if you was paying full price to go, you'd feel cheated.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
So there is that.
Yeah. Always a silver
Somehow
lining.
Yeah.
Somehow that makes sense. I've obviously been drinking too much.
So with that being said, I have to agree with them on that one. But going back to Disney Alphabet, and hopefully people have had a little bit of time to think. I know we're men and we don't multitask very well, mind you.
Yeah.
But the letter is K.
Oh,
And it's a serious challenge.
that's hard work, that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, can I go first then?
Go on then.
I was going to go for the Kilimanjaro safaris.
Oh, there you go then. Taxi for Lucas.
It's saying around the corner, Craig. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Which I like. I mean, Craig's obviously got very fond memories because he saw his first unicorn on that recently, which we should never forget happened. And of course, we've got our good friend Safari Mike, who loves them. Bless his cotton socks.
It's not a bad little ride.
No, and I mean, unlike Ratatouille, it's quite a long ride.
Yeah.
Really. Albeit the problem with
it's got shorter since they took out most of the poachers.
Yes, it does happen. Bloody Cecil the lion. But yeah, I mean, you know, the problem with any attraction like that is you're relying on real things.
Yeah.
Now, like the Jungle Cruise, that's one ride that you always see all the animals that you want to at the right time.
Yep.
But with the safaris, not quite so much. So, you know, I can understand why people have a bit of a disappointment, but I like it.
Who's going to take the plunge and try and have a K?
The Crankies. Love them. No, I've got one.
Go on,
Kringla Bakery. The Kringla Bakery in Epcot in Norway.
Hit, sir.
Have you done that then?
And I actually like the place as well.
Yeah.
Not only is it a K, but they serve some good stuff in there.
Some lovely school bread.
Yeah, schoolbread. Love the toasted sandwiches. Yeah. Nice place for a quick service lunch.
Underestimated and very unknown.
Yeah.
Most people stop in Mexico and just we'll have something here, like some nachos or something. But
that's Mexican food, isn't it?
Yeah.
All counts. Good hit. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that one. Eddie, we're going
I've got nothing. I've literally got nothing.
I actually have got one.
Go on then. Go.
Go, Paul.
King Louis. It's just one of my favourite characters. It was one of the first Disney films I remember seeing when I was a youngster, and he just stands out. And even these days, seeing him in the parks, he's one of the most animated characters you see in the parks. And as we were talking about earlier in Animagique, he plays a big part in that.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, Mr. Lucas, you didn't think of that one, seeing as his knuckles drag on the ground as well.
You've got me there.
The thing is,
Craig's arms would need to be about 8 feet long to drag on the ground. You can
that
accuse
is
him of
also
some
true.
things, but not that.
Craig's almost as tall as Kilimanjaro, but no, I think Paul's right in what I picked up on there with the characters and how entertaining is that, I mean, they're the best characters, aren't they? And you talking about Rafiki and Geppetto earlier on, doing that to me is my favourite, or at least one of my favourite things when going to Disney, is seeing characters that really have fun playing the character. It's the complete opposite of the people, the cast members that don't clearly want to be there. But the people that are getting paid, pardon the pun, peanuts. I know it'd be more of a Dumbo joke, wouldn't it? But that are doing it for the love of the job, are sweating their nuts off, probably going to pass out due to heat stroke any time, and yet are having so much fun with the people around them.
Yeah, and he is on most parades I've ever seen. He's been on, so cool.
That's also true. Yeah. Right, that's enough stalling. Where's your K's?
Yeah, go on, Craig.
I haven't got one.
Get your keys out.
I can't think.
You can't. I've even Skyped you too.
I love you.
Why have you Skyped us two? We're sitting in the pub together.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was hoping he would just check his Apple Watch without anyone noticing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've just done it. Yeah. Google. Yeah, Skype.
Google.
Well, all right, my one. I'm going with Cali River Rapids.
Now, see, I even dropped a hint when I said there's something round the corner.
I've been up since 3:30 this morning.
Hang on a second. Can anyone else hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of no one giving an F.
Cali River Rapids is rubbish. It's got a lame storyline. and it's just
storyline.
Yeah, some fella's burning some stuff somewhere.
It's about John having a bonfire.
And it's no Pluto's bilge, barge, raft things, is it? If you get off it, bone dry.
That has to be
No,
the
you don't.
ultimate
No, there's one. It depends where you're sitting in that round boat.
That's the ultimate in theme park crossover, though, isn't it? Pluto's bilge rat barges.
Yeah, you can take your half-free excuse and shove it up your arse. There's no escaping that one. But I'm with Paul. I've never got soaked on Cali like I have on Pluto's bilge boats, the dog boats. But at the same time, I've seen people get absolutely soaked on that ride.
Yeah, it's been me.
So that was been you. I've been
yeah.
I've been quite lucky. I mean, that's why I won't go on Pluto's ride, but I will happily go back on Cali River Rapids.
I enjoy it. I couldn't care less that it really hasn't got a story, but the theme of the queue and the temple you walk through, and just the fact that it's
very
a
well
ride,
themed, actually.
Yeah,
it is. The queue's better than the ride.
Yeah,
the ride's
when I got soaked on it, you go down on that slope and you're the guy at the front of the boat basically, and it hits, and it's like a Wile E. Coyote moment because above you there's like 3 tons of water, and it just hangs there for a minute, and you think, oh shit, and that's it.
I always call it completely soaking, and it doesn't matter. I have tried to scientifically judge it. It's like, okay, let's try and get on the ride with some really quite big people, and I'll sit opposite them.
I can't get on this boat, please. You're not big enough.
Yeah.
I'll get on the next one.
And still
these heifers
get it square in the face.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll go, right, in that case, I'm on with the kids, and I'll be the biggest person on the ride. And still, then I'll get it straight over the shoulders. So it's like, I really couldn't care less.
They should go down the Universal route with it. And they should just put 3D screens in and have 2 fellas at the end throwing buckets of water over.
That
will be the next ride. That will be the next incarnation of it.
Do you reckon they'll
simulated rapids ride?
Do you reckon now that they've given Jimmy Fallon a ride at Universal that they might try and incorporate someone like James Corden?
Oh, God.
Where we can all throw water and stuff at him.
Yeah, that make it theme the ride better.
Yeah, you put James Corden on a raft, and even in front of some screens and simulations, and we throw stuff at him.
Don't you think? I mean, going off at a total tangent, that Jimmy Fallon news you've got there, isn't that a massive nail in the coffin of Universal? Another 3D screen. Come on.
Well, in that respect, yes.
The Fast and the Furious is going to be a 3D experience.
Yeah.
Go round the corner to Potter, it's 3D. Go across to Simpsons, it's 3D. Terminator's 3D. That's embarrassing.
I'm not.
Transformers is 3D.
Yeah, it's dull and unimaginative as a ride. Again, my bigger bugbear on that is I really don't. Other than the fact that I've seen a few virals on Facebook, I have no idea who Jimmy Fallon is, and I couldn't care less about him.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not a British thing. Like, Jimmy Fallon is an American late-night talk show host, which is why I said James Corden, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously an American talk show host now as well.
Not the little fat fella off Doctor Who.
Who's that?
James Corden.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah. And he's a West Ham fan, so don't slag him off too much, thank you.
From Gavin Stacey.
Yeah, that as well. But yeah, it just seems to be... And with all the properties that Universal have, they could have taken out Twister and put in another Jaws ride if they wanted to.
3D one.
Well, it would have been Jaws 19 in 3D, wouldn't it? If they were doing it correctly. But they could have even if it was another even if they had to do a 3D ride in there, right? They still could have picked a Universal franchise. I mean, Jesus, we're just lucky that it wasn't 5 years earlier and us having a Jay Leno ride.
You've literally got.
But at least he liked cars.
He still does. He's not dead yet.
Well, yeah, he was on Top Gear for it.
Yeah,
they could have done that. That goes international.
He's a massive arsehole, mind you.
Yeah,
They've got 3 outdoor rides in that park, 3 outdoor rides.
Yeah, but you don't need... What's wrong with that? Why do you need rides outside?
It's Florida. Why do you want to be indoors?
But what I will agree with Craig is what you don't want is another 3D simulator ride, which is what this is likely to be.
It is. It's soaring, but that is fucking big cretinous grid all over it. Going, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Here's New York.
I'll tell you what I do want to see, though, is a standard roller coaster. I saw it on telly the other day. Standard roller coaster, but you put 3D goggles on, virtual reality goggles, and it's the actual physical roller coaster, but it can be anything you want. So you could be flying or driving a car or on a runaway train. So you can actually pick the ride you want to go on.
That's a little bit like what they had in Disney Quest.
Yeah, but this is actually a physical roller coaster, so you're sitting in with the bar across you.
Right, I get you.
And it's like Bluetooth goggles or whatever they are. Absolutely awesome technology.
Yeah, the Oculus. I've used Oculus Rift, which is one of those VR headsets, and they are pretty nifty actually. Well, Mr. Boniface just needs to do a Caden.
Yeah. Tangent. We've gone back off the tangent.
Yeah, I've challenged myself by being the last one, and I'm not going to use any of the ones that I
sent to me.
Sent to Craig. So, having had to take a 4 and a 7-year-old at the time round Epcot, I'm going to have to go with the KidCot Fun Stops.
Oh.
Because a lot of people complain...
Jimmy Savile's favourite.
Yeah, a lot of people complain that there is not enough to do for kids in Epcot. It's a bit too educational, which is great if you are taking them out of school and want to try and get away without paying the fine. But they do need something to do. There aren't that many, there aren't any rides really in that World Showcase portion of Epcot. Okay, they've made it go frozen now, so I could have used Christoph, but that's one of the ones I sent to Craig. So they need something to do. So what have they done? They give them Duffy bears on a stick and say, go on, colour those in there. Awesome. I have paid this much money to go to a theme park and my kids want to colour in a Duffy bear. I'm not arguing with Disney if that's the way you do it, because my kids actually thoroughly enjoy it and I can't argue with them because they're thoroughly enjoying it. But please,
and am I right in thinking...
Can we move on to the next land now? I am bored of watching you colouring in.
But haven't they replaced Duffy now?
I couldn't tell you.
Like really...
Daisy Duck, I think.
Yeah, I think Daisy's taken over that meet and greet.
But Mrs. Duffy's getting it, I think.
Yeah, but what about the actual KidCot colouring in? Because it was Duffy for quite a while, so I don't know who it is now then. Unless it is Daisy or Donald.
It's going to be that balloon-head snowman,
Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf.
You wash your mouth out with soap, you dirty rotter.
Oh, it's getting boring now.
The one for saying Olaf.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
Either or. It's only boring, Craig, because we've got kids that insist on watching it all the time. I mean, luckily, Alice now bearing in mind, Alice is 2.5 years old. Her current favourite film to watch over and over again at the moment is Up.
Skyfall.
and Skyfall, obviously. But no, her favourite cartoon to watch at the moment is Up. And you know what? Just like what happened with Toy Story, I'm now emotionally immune to the first 10 minutes of Up, which I never thought would happen. One day it's gonna come back and bite me in the arse saying that. But for now, at least, it's lost its power. But if anything else has lost its power on its emotional level because of being ruined by kids, please let us know. But visit our website at www.DisAfterDark.com.
Yes, I didn't even have to.
Podcast at DisAfterDark.com.
I didn't even have to keep it with fire that time.
No, or you can find us on Twitter at DisAfterDark and Facebook.com/DisAfterDark, and I'll drop the MaceChat.com thing.
YouTube under DisAfterDark Podcast, Instagram, wherever else.
But before we finish, what was the other one you messaged Craig?
White jelly.
Yeah, but that was for a different reason.
That was to go on your feet after trying to do 4 parks in one day,
which we did.
Yeah. And by the way, for anyone that's not listened to that, that is some great audio. I thoroughly immensed it, Chuck. Thoroughly enjoyed it, Chuck. And also, there's a really good little post written by your wife, for the trip, Mrs. Stuart Miller, who refused to comment on this podcast because he doesn't like us. But about his experience for the first time going to Disney Park and what he thought, and that's a good read. And both parts of the 4 parts in one day and the Halloween Horror Nights from Chuck here on the show are very good. So give those a listen as well. And before we go, Mr. Washington, if anybody has liked your views and comments, where could they find your work?
The Twitter account is at Magical Kingdom is the best place to get hold of us. We're also on Facebook at Magical Kingdom of Walt, if that's easier.
I'm going to get right on there right now.
They do. And I'll leave it to Craig to write the notes that I can add to the tune. Dear listener, thank you for joining us again for another week, and we hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Easter.
Growing older is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Dis After Dark, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
You're a complete and total smeghead.
I just want to congratulate Disneyland Paris on its 25th anniversary, to be honest.
It'll be the 30th by then.
I can't wait to continue Star Wars, the Force Awakens, the journey continues, right?
Stop it, Pinky, or I shall have to hurt you.